It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when Snoop Dogg visited a local animal shelter in South Central Los Angeles. The rapper had planned a quick drop-in to donate supplies, blankets, food, and chew toys for the animals. As he walked down the narrow aisles of barking cages, something unusual caught his attention. In the back corner, a small, trembling pit bull with soulful eyes stared up at him in complete silence. Unlike the others, this dog didn't bark or jump. He simply watched, waiting. Snoop paused, leaning in. The shelter volunteer beside him explained, "That's Bowser. He's been here for months, abandoned. Most people overlook him." The name seemed fitting, but Snoop frowned. "He looks like he'd been through some things," he said softly. The connection was instant, unexpected. Snoop knelt, offering his hand through the bars. Bowser approached cautiously, then rested his head on Snoop's fingers. Moved by the dog's calm demeanor and resilience, Snoop stood up and asked the shelter staff what the adoption process entailed. They were shocked. Celebrity adoptions were rare, and most big names did it quietly through agents. But Snoop insisted on handling everything himself. "I don't need no middleman to give love," he said. He filled out paperwork on the spot, and requested that Bowser be delivered to his compound the next day. Later that evening, Snoop posted a video on Instagram holding a photo of Bowser. "Y'all meet my new homie. Name's Bowser, came from the bottom just like me. He's got heart, and now he's got a home." The post went viral within hours. Fans flooded the comments with heart emojis and shared stories about their own rescue animals. The hashtag #DrBowserWithSnoop began trending on Twitter. That night, Snoop lay on his couch, scrolling through thousands of supportive messages. He didn't expect the adoption to strike such a chord with people. It made him think about all the shelter animals still waiting, the ones whose stories go untold. As Bowser lay beside him, already comfortable, Snoop thought, maybe there's more I can do. A campaign idea started forming in his mind, one rooted in compassion and community action. Meanwhile, shelter staff prepared Bowser for his new life. They bathed him, clipped his nails, and packed a box with his favorite toys and a blanket. "He deserves this," one staffer said, eyes misting. "He's been through enough." They snapped a final photo for the shelter's social media page, thanking Snoop for adopting an underdog. The post quickly racked up likes, with commenters calling it the realest thing Snoop ever did. The next morning, Bowser arrived at Snoop's home in a cozy pet carrier. Cameras from TMZ waited outside, hoping for a glimpse of the unlikely duo. Snoop stepped out in his robe, waved the reporters off, and carried Bowser inside. "Ain't no zoo here," he muttered, chuckling. But privately, he was emotional. This wasn't just another pet. It was a second chance. Inside, Bowser explored cautiously. The rapper's mansion was a sensory overload. Marble floors, velvet couches, and music thumping softly from hidden speakers. But Snoop made sure his new friend felt welcome. He'd prepared a plush dog bed, new bowls, and even personalized tags. When Bowser curled up beside his owner, Snoop whispered, "You safe now, lil' homie." Later that day, Snoop's team called to ask if he wanted to promote any upcoming shows or releases. He waved them off. "Nah, man, this dog thing got people talking. Let's run with that instead." His publicist was surprised but intrigued. "You want to do a rescue campaign?" Snoop nodded. "Yeah, we call it From the Streets to the Suite." The concept was simple. Inspire people to adopt dogs, especially older and overlooked ones. The plan was set. A website would launch within days, showcasing shelter dogs across the country. Snoop would highlight one dog a week on social media. Merchandise would follow, proceeds going to local shelters. But most of all, it was about heart. "This ain't a trend," Snoop told his manager. "This is love, real love, just like Bowser showed me." The launch of Snoop's campaign, From the Streets to the Suite, made headlines across entertainment, lifestyle, and even pet industry news. Celebrities started reposting his shelter dog content, while fans shared before and after photos of their own rescued pets. What started as one man's decision to adopt became a movement, and Bowser became its unlikely face. His soulful eyes now graced t-shirts, hoodies, and posters, all benefiting animal shelters across the country. Snoop kicked things off by going live on Instagram. Bowser sat in his lap while he talked about the realities of animal shelters. "These dogs got soul, man," he said. "They just need somebody to believe in them. Just like I needed back in the day." Viewers flooded the comments, many admitting they'd never considered adopting before. Others asked how to help. Soon after, From the Streets to the Suite launched an adoption spotlight series. Every week, Snoop would visit a different shelter, sometimes in person, sometimes virtually, and highlight one dog in need of a home. He gave them nicknames, told their stories, and helped match them with families. His tone wasn't preachy, it was personal, real. People listened. Within a month, adoption rates in the featured shelters doubled. A pit bull named Lady G got adopted, within 24 hours of her spotlight. A shy terrier named Slim found a forever home with a single mom who had never owned a dog before. The movement was growing, and Snoop's sincerity was driving it. He didn't stop there. He teamed up with a local pet food brand to provide lifetime supplies to low-income families who adopted shelter dogs. He also started a grant program to help cover adoption fees for veterans and seniors. "No one should miss out on love because they can't afford it," he said. One afternoon, during a shelter visit in Atlanta, Snoop met a young girl named Trinity who had rescued a senior dog named Hank. She showed him a drawing she made of Bowser wearing sunglasses. Snoop was touched. He gave her a shout-out on social media, and within hours, the shelter received hundreds of calls about Hank's story. Trinity became a mini ambassador, visiting classrooms to talk about animal kindness. As the campaign grew, so did Bowser's fan base. The dog who once trembled in a cage now had over 500,000 followers on his own Instagram account. People followed his adventures, playing fetch, chilling in the studio, even appearing in music videos. He became a symbol of transformation, trust, and second chances. Snoop's fans weren't just consuming content anymore. They were participating. They began tagging shelters, creating hashtags like #SockcherSnoopSavedMe, and volunteering in record numbers. One shelter in Detroit saw its highest adoption week in 5 years. "This is more than music," a volunteer said. "This is hope on a leash." Media outlets took notice. CNN ran a feature titled, "Rapper's Dog Campaign Saves Thousands." Even Ellen invited Snoop to speak about the campaign. He brought Bowser with him and said, "This dog changed my life. I just want to pay it forward." The audience gave him a standing ovation. By the end of the month, From the Streets to the Suite had partnered with over 60 shelters nationwide. Bowser slept peacefully that night, unaware he had helped save hundreds of dogs, but Snoop knew. And, when he looked at his friend curled up in a velvet bed, he smiled and whispered, "Told you we'd do something big." As the campaign expanded, so did the introspection in Snoop's own life. He began revisiting old neighborhoods, talking to people he hadn't seen since before fame. The dog rescue movement wasn't just about saving animals, it was about reconnecting to a part of himself he had almost lost. The part that remembered struggle, loyalty, and quiet companionship. Bowser followed him everywhere now, photo shoots, meetings, even the studio. He'd curl up by the booth, his tail thumping to the bass. At one session, Snoop paused mid-recording and said, "You ever realize how dogs don't care who you used to be? They just love who you are right now." Everyone in the room nodded. Silence spoke louder than beats. Snoop started journaling again. Not about fame or tours, but about peace. About the unexpected healing a dog had brought him. "Bowser don't talk," he wrote, "but he listens like a priest. He reminds me that love ain't gotta be loud." He even wrote a poem and posted it online. It went viral. Fans began sending in their own. At home, Bowser became family. His photo joined the wall of Snoop's loved ones. Friends said Snoop seemed calmer, lighter, more grounded. "You got that rescue dog zen now," one friend joked. But it was true. The man who once rapped about survival was now teaching others how to give safety. Even his kids got involved. They created coloring books about shelter animals, sold them online, and donated the proceeds. The project brought the whole family closer. "Bowser ain't just your dog," his daughter said. "He's all of ours now." That night, Bowser slept in her bed. At a red carpet event, reporters expected Snoop to plug his latest feature. Instead, he pointed to his lapel pin, a tiny Bowser, and said, "I'm here for the underdogs." The moment made national headlines. Commentators praised him for using his platform in a way that transcended music. Snoop also began mentoring young kids who volunteered at shelters. He visited schools and gave talks about loyalty, empathy, and growth. "A lot of y'all think hard means cold," he told them. "But the real G's? We protect what's weak. We build, not break." The crowd erupted in cheers everywhere he went. People thanked him, not for his albums, but for Bowser, for making them see something differently, for reminding them that even if you've been discarded, you're still worthy of love. "This dog saved me," a fan in Milwaukee told him. "I got clean because I wanted to adopt and had to pass a background check. And so, the dog that no one wanted became the spark for hundreds of redemption stories. And in each one, a piece of Snoop was reborn too." With "From the Streets to the Suite" gaining momentum, Snoop realized the work had only just begun. Adoptions were up, sure, but what about the dogs still waiting? What about those too sick or too old to attract attention? He decided to launch a second phase, Project Pause, a collaboration with local vets and volunteer shelters to provide medical treatment and temporary homes for dogs that would otherwise be overlooked. He met with veterinary professionals and rescue coordinators across the country. Many spoke about dogs with treatable conditions being euthanized simply due to lack of funding. Snoop shook his head. "We spend millions on shoes and chains. What's a few thousand to save a soul?" He donated the initial $500,000 to cover medical bills for 100 dogs in need. Bowser accompanied him to the first clinic opening, wagging his tail as kids lined up to pet him. That day, the clinic treated 27 animals, many of whom would now go on to live full lives. The event was emotional, even for hardened volunteers. "This is the kind of work that saves more than just animals," one vet said. "It gives people a reason to believe again." Snoop's next move was unexpected. He began recruiting volunteers not from universities, but from youth centers and juvenile rehabilitation programs. "Let's give second chances to everybody," he said. Teens trained to walk, feed, and care for shelter dogs. Some went on to become vet techs. One 16-year-old told Snoop, "These dogs calmed my anger. Now I want to be the guy who saves them." News of the program's success reached mayors and council members. Cities began offering grants and tax breaks to support shelters participating in the initiative. What started with one man and one dog now moved through bureaucracies, changing systems. Snoop met with city officials, no entourage, just Bowser, and a folder full of stats. "This ain't charity," he said. "It's community building." He even opened his own small foster dog center in Long Beach called the Dog House, a play on words and a sanctuary for dogs waiting for forever homes. Local musicians played live at adoption events there, turning every weekend into a block party of love and hope. And at every event, Bowser was there, gentle, patient, iconic. Social media exploded with footage from the doghouse. Elderly dogs taking their first steps outside in months, kids laughing as they walked pit bulls, and Snoop casually sweeping kennels or handing out leashes. Fans from abroad started donating to fund expansion. One woman in Brazil raised $12,000 for a connected shelter project. In one particularly emotional moment, Snoop stood beside a boy who adopted a 3-legged chihuahua named Spike. "They told me nobody would want him," the boy said. "I said, he's just like me. He's been through it." The crowd cried. Snoop pulled him in close. "You both walking tall now, nephew." That night, Snoop went live from his backyard, Bowser at his feet. "This campaign ain't just about dogs," he said. "It's about choosing love, over fear, over fame, over failure." The live ended with thousands of comments like, "You gave us faith again." Months into the campaign, Snoop's team compiled footage, behind-the-scenes shelter visits, adoption stories, community events, into a full-length documentary. Titled, Bowser. From the Streets to the Suite, it aimed not just to move hearts, but to inspire lifelong commitment to rescue animals. The trailer dropped online, beginning with the sound of Bowser's soft panting under Snoop's voiceover. "We both came from places where nobody expected us to make it." The premiere was held in a modest theater in Inglewood, with free admission, for local families and rescue workers. No red carpet, no flash, Just love. Snoop walked in wearing a hoodie with Bowser's face on it and greeted attendees with hugs instead of handshakes. "This is y'all's movie too," he told them. "We all stars in this." The film opened with Bowser's trembling figure in the shelter, then flashed through a timeline of joy. Him stepping onto Snoop's porch, licking a child's hand, dozing during interviews, and standing proud as the face of a movement. Narrated entirely by Snoop, the film was raw, spiritual, and honest. Audiences were stunned. There was laughter when Bowser stole a hot dog on camera, tears during the segment where an elderly woman adopted a blind senior dog, and applause when a formerly incarcerated man talked about training rescue dogs to rebuild his life. "This ain't about pity," he said. "It's about purpose." Streaming platforms raced to license the film, but Snoop chose a different path. He made it free. "If it's about love," he said, "you don't put it behind a paywall." Within a week, the documentary hit 10 million views. Teachers played it in classrooms. Shelters screened it during adoption events. Crossed generations. A surprise moment came at the end credits, when Bowser's deep bark played over the final song, a soulful track produced by Snoop and featuring a gospel choir. The lyrics echoed a simple message: home is a heartbeat. That song climbed charts not for its production, but its power. The impact rippled fast. Rescue centers reported unprecedented surges in adoptions. Volunteers doubled. Donations tripled. One viewer wrote, "I was suicidal last month. I adopted a pit bull last week. Today, I'm still here." Another wrote, "That documentary made me realize I still had room to care." Media outlets called it a cultural reset. Blogs dubbed Bowser the dog that healed America. Snoop took none of the credit. "I just told the truth," he said. "Bowser did the rest." And he meant it. As the final scene played, Bowser sleeping peacefully on a velvet bed in Snoop's studio, a single line flashed across the screen: "Rescued hearts rescue back." The momentum didn't slow. Months after the documentary's release, Bowser had inspired a full-blown foundation. The Bowser Legacy Fund launched with a simple mission: make sure no adoptable dog was ever euthanized due to lack of space or time. "We ain't God," Snoop said, "but we can sure act like angels when we choose to." The fund partnered with over 100 shelters and covered everything from vet care to transport services for dogs in overcrowded facilities. It also provided scholarships for youth volunteering in animal care. "You help dogs, you help yourself," the foundation slogan read. Snoop began appearing on panels not just about music, but about social advocacy. He spoke at conferences, hosted workshops, and released a book titled Barks and Bars: Rhymes, Rescues, and Redemption. Part memoir, part movement. It became a bestseller in weeks. Meanwhile, Bowser had become more than a mascot. He was a brand, a symbol, an ambassador. Snoop declined offers to merchandise him for profit. "You don't slap price tags on family," he said. But he did allow Bowser plush toys to be given away with every shelter adoption nationwide. Kids clung to them like treasures. In a surprise ceremony, Snoop was awarded the Presidential Medal of Humanity by a national animal welfare organization. During his speech, he said, "I made millions from my voice, but that dog's silence taught me more than words ever could." Bowser himself was aging, gracefully. Now 9 years old, he'd slowed down, but still perked up whenever he heard a leash jingle. "He don't need to run no more," Snoop said. He already ran his race, and won. Snoop turned down multiple tours to stay home more. Studios always open, but Bowser's only got so much time. He posted a video of the two of them lounging in the backyard, Snoop freestyling softly while Bowser snored. It got 18 million views. Fans continued tagging Snoop with adoption stories. He shared as many as he could, commenting, "Bless up, lil' homie," or "That's love right there." He saw himself in every kid hugging a new dog, in every senior walking a mutt down the block. The rapper who once symbolized West Coast swagger had become the face of something gentler, but just as powerful. He didn't see it as a reinvention. "Same dog," he said. "Just barking for a better reason now." It started quietly, just a little fatigue, a few skipped meals. Bowser wasn't running to the door like he used to. Snoop noticed immediately. "He ain't right," he told his assistant. canceling a studio session to sit by Bowser's side. A visit to the vet confirmed what he feared, a heart condition common in older shelter dogs that had experienced long-term stress and neglect. Snoop sat silently as the vet explained the diagnosis. Bowser had a few good months left, maybe a year with treatment. "You gave him the best part of his life," the vet said gently. But Snoop wasn't ready. He took Bowser home and laid beside him on the floor, whispering lyrics in childhood, prayers, hoping the rhythm of his voice would give Bowser peace. News of Bowser's condition broke after Snoop posted a photo of them lying together. "He gave y'all his heart. Pray for mine," the caption read. Fans flooded social media with artwork, videos, and thousands of messages. "Sir Bowser Strong" trended within hours. People across the world lit candles, held adoption drives in his honor, and sent letters to Snoop. Instead of retreating, Snoop turned Bowser's health battle into an opportunity to raise awareness about senior dog care. He launched a Golden Paws program through the Bowser Legacy Fund, dedicated to supporting elderly dogs and their adoptive families. Free vet checks, nutrition support, and dog hospice care became part of the mission. Bowser, though slower, still made appearances. Snoop carried him on stage at an animal rights gala in New York, holding him like a baby. "He ain't just a pet," he said to the crowd. "He's proof that broken things still shine." The room fell silent, then rose in thunderous applause. Every day became sacred. Snoop wrote a song titled "My Dog Don't Speak" and played it to Bowser at sunset. Fans around the world streamed it as a lullaby. Kids danced to it. Seniors wept to it. Rescue workers played it during quiet nights at the shelter. It became an anthem of love and letting go. One morning, Snoop awoke to Bowser, sitting quietly by the window, watching nothing and everything. "He's ready," Snoop said softly. That night, he slept on the floor again, arms wrapped around his best friend. As Bowser's breath slowed, Snoop whispered, "You saved me too, dog. You really did." When Bowser passed, the world mourned. Shelters held candlelight vigils, fans made murals, schools held assemblies about kindness and animals. News outlets ran the headline, "The dog who taught Snoop, dog to love without limits, has passed." But in Snoop's heart, Bowser was still there, not just in memory, but in purpose. Snoop didn't speak publicly for a week after Bowser's passing. He took time to cry, to write, to remember. Then one morning, he posted a photo of Bowser's old collar and simply wrote, "Gone, never, gone." What followed was unexpected. Hundreds of thousands of fans began writing letters to Bowser. They came from everywhere. Kids, veterans, mothers, inmates, and teachers. People wrote to Bowser like he was a guardian angel, a therapist, a friend. "You made me adopt my first dog," one read. "You reminded me that even if you've been caged, you can still run free." Another said, "My son talks to our rescue pit bull now like he's talking to Bowser." Snoop read them all. He laughed, he cried, he smiled. Some letters came with sketches, others with photos. He decided to collect the best and publish them in a book called Letters to Bowser. All proceeds would go to fund rescue shelters in underfunded neighborhoods. The book became a cultural moment. Celebrities, authors, even mayors submitted letters. One young girl wrote, "I have autism and never talked in school. But when I saw Bowser, I said his name out loud. Teachers called it a literacy tool powered by love." Snoop wrote the final letter in the book himself. It read, "Dear Bowser, you didn't have to do a thing to earn love. You just had to show up. And somehow, you reminded millions of us to do the same. You didn't save hip-hop, you saved me. You didn't bark much, but every second you were here, you spoke louder than any song I ever wrote. Thank you. Love always, Big Dog." At the book launch, Snoop didn't give a speech. Instead, he played Bowser's bark, recorded on his phone years before. The crowd stood in reverent silence. A single tear ran down his cheek as fans held up candles and digital lights. It was more than grief. It was communion. The Bowser Legacy Fund announced a new initiative. Every dog adopted through their partnered shelters would go home with a copy of Letters to Bowser and a small collar charm engraved with "Worthy" The word became a symbol, a movement, a whisper of strength for animals and people who needed to be reminded. Even now, years later, shelters report new adopters citing Bowser's story as their reason. "We weren't just saving dogs," Snoop once said. "We were reminding folks they had something worth saving too." 1 year after Bowser's passing, Snoop held a tribute concert. Not at a stadium, but in the middle of a Los Angeles park. Entry was free. Instead of VIPs, the crowd was filled with rescue dogs and their families. Blankets replaced bleachers. Bowser's photo loomed large behind the stage, calm, proud, eternal. He opened the show not with a song, but with a story. "I used to think saving the world was too big for me. But Bowser showed me, sometimes it's enough to save one soul. And sometimes, that soul saves the world back." The crowd stood, silent and still, some in tears, others holding dogs in their arms. He performed a full set of songs inspired by his journey with Bowser. From Sweet Life to Unleashed, the lyrics were rich with imagery, paw prints, on wood floors, late-night walks, shared silences. Each note felt sacred. At the end of the set, he played the final track, "Until We Bark Again." Mid-song, dozens of volunteers walked through the crowd with adoptable dogs on leashes. People gasped, cried, and one by one the crowd stood and began filling out adoption papers on the grass. Over 60 dogs found homes that night. In the closing moments, Snoop stood alone under a single spotlight. He looked up at the photo of Bowser and said, "You did it, my boy." Then he placed Bowser's original collar on the mic stand and walked off stage. No fireworks, no encore, just silence and love. After the show, the Bowser Foundation announced its 1,000th rescue. The story had come full circle. A dog once unwanted had started a revolution in care, compassion, and connection. Snoop released a statement the next day. "Bowser taught me something most men don't learn till it's too late. You don't need applause to matter, just love. Real love." A bronze statue of Bowser was later installed at the shelter where he was found. On its base, it reads, "He didn't change the world, he changed one man, and that man changed the world." And somewhere, maybe not in sight, but certainly in spirit, Bowser is still running, still barking, still home.